Warning: the content of this podcast may offend you. If you are a snowflake or easily offended, please stop watching now.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming.
There's no way that you make it, and maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Aren't you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Aren't you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fight back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RCT Production, the Throwdown, the official voices of Honor Fighting Championship and Cage Thunder. Today we've got Rockin, Josh Rohler. Is it Rockin or is it Josh Rockin?
It's Josh Rockin Rohler.
Rockin
Rohler.
Listen, thanks for coming on the podcast today, man. I know the last time we did anything with you is we did Meet the Fighter up at Evolve. You know, we got a chance to sit down, check your training out a little bit when you were training it for the Jesus fight.
Yep.
And so what's changed since then? And I think that would have been, when was that?
That was last April.
Was it like late spring, something like that?
Yeah, that was last year. Yeah. So what has changed with you since then?
What hasn't changed? I no longer train at Evolve. It's just unfortunate circumstance of events. Just some bad things came up, and it's nothing that you can really do. And there's no animosity or anything between me and Evolve, which, right. I mean, there is no more Evolve. So it's just, it was medical things that kind of took over. But as far as training, everything's really different. I train mostly up in East Cleveland with a nice little group of guys we got. We call ourselves the Warehouse Warriors. But as far as like specific training, back then was kind of more so show up, do what you kind of do. We didn't have coaching as much. You know, you tried to get whatever work you could. It's more focused now. We have game plans. You know, it only took me 6 pro fights to find out what kind of fighter I was.
Right.
You know, so.
Who is it? Was it, correct me if I'm wrong, I apologize. Is it guys from like Rise and Dragon, some of those guys that are coming out through there where you're training with now?
No, so Taiwan Claxton, it's
okay.
Yeah, Taiwan Claxton, he fights in Bellator. We used to train at Evolve together.
Oh, right.
I know him back from when I was at Notre Dame College. He was still in high school. He'd come over to the house and he'd be showing up at the parties, you know, having a good time. But he kind of has been the biggest financial backer behind this, but we have a place that we share with a company that that's why we call it the Warehouse Warriors. So we got mats. We got it's not octagon, it's a hexagon, but it's 24 or 26 foot. So I mean, it's big. We get all the work that we need up there, but it's more so a lot of the old Evolve guys. You know, Jarrell Hodge comes up. Jamar Moore comes up, DeMonte Robinson, we got, I'm drawing a blank, Christian Porter, Justin Messer, Ahmad Douglas, Nikolai was up there today, of course Doogie Howser.
How's his shoulder, by the way?
Oh, it's
getting better?
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. He's
good.
going to be ready to rock, man. He's been working around it, but he's able to strengthen it right now.
Okay.
So I'm not putting like a date on it or nothing, but
Right.
just by the way I
Shoulders
see him
are weird.
move,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's forever. Sometimes
Right.
it's
he's going to be ready
bounce
to
right
go.
back. Yeah, good.
He actually looked thicker too. I was like, dang, dude, you're going to have to start cutting
Moving
20
up.
or
Moving
35. He's like, nah, bro, I weigh 28. I'm like, well, shoot, it's a couple
Right.
pounds of 25.
That's cool. You guys got a good amount. How much square feet do you guys work with?
I mean, I don't know exactly. Like I said, we got it. It's like kind of parceled off. Half of it is, it's like kind of a chemical factory. Not like, it's not like dangerous chemicals or anything like
Anthrax,
that.
you know.
They make it. Here's a shout out, Cleansatone, for Kenny. They make this cleaning agent. So if anybody needs a cleaning agent, holler at my boy Kenny. But half of it's the chemical factory, and then we got a nice little separation of fencing, and we put some mats up, and we got our hexagon, some bags and stuff, some wall mats, some wall pads to put up, you know. So,
Right. That seems like a pretty good setup. I'll have to come up there and check you guys.
well,
check it out with
the
you guys,
best
man.
thing is we're in control,
Yeah.
and now that's you know there's a pro and a con to that. With you being in control means there's more responsibility on you.
Right.
But with you in control means that you have control of your workouts. And we actually, you know, Taiwan maps a lot of the stuff out. And we have it down to a schedule now to where we already know when we go in on what day, what we're going to be doing, whether we're going to be drilling or, you know, what have you.
So with Claxton basically doing the programming for you guys,
Yeah, he took, Neil from Black Zillions, he took a lot of his stuff. And that's because he came in for a clinic.
Right.
And, you know, we incorporated all that, and then we started on our drill days, we would take his ground stuff, whether it be the cage work or what have you. You know, I'm not going to get into details about
Right,
that,
right.
but, you know, we incorporated that, and then, you know,
It's a system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we got it down. We got it pretty much down pat now to when we go in there, we just kind of get work. You know, this past week he was in Dublin. Shout out to Walter Gonzaga. Got that head kick knockout in Bellator. He was gone, so you know I had the keys, so I had to go kind of open up everything, and
Right.
you know he left some papers for drills and stuff that we kind of followed along. So he is kind of he helps keep everyone in direction, and then of course when he's got a fight, we make sure we take that responsibility away.
Right. Oh yeah.
so who would be cornering you in your upcoming fight on the 23rd then, if it's so like, you know what I'm saying, like who's you guys are basically coaching yourselves, like you guys have you guys like not one dedicated coach but multiple coaches. Everybody kind of gathers up their own experience and what they know, and you kind of program it and you pass it out to everybody else. So who you have anybody specifically that knows your game plan that you feel comfortable coaching
So that's
you?
actually, and it kind of took a while to get used to that, but I thought back of what we would do when we would coach or when we would wrestle in high school. You know, it's kind of up to the fighter or to the wrestler,
Right.
whoever he feels most comfortable with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so for me, I have my jiu-jitsu coach. You know, my jiu-jitsu coach is Shannon White, True Art Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's up in Fairlawn. But anyway, that is my coach. He will be my jiu-jitsu coach in my corner. So Taiwan is my main drill partner. He knows my MMA game the best. So Taiwan will be in my corner.
Okay.
I'm not going to speak any names as of right now yet, but I would like to have someone that I'm working with striking to be in my corner. I just don't know if it will work. I talked to this person a little bit, and I think I might have mixed up the dates of his trip, so
Okay.
I might have screwed myself out of that one. But I've been getting some striking work elsewhere. So that's actually, you know, Taiwan works with Steve Tracek and does his pad work and all that with him. So
Right.
whoever doesn't work with Steve, we all kind of get our Muay Thai, kickboxing, mitt work elsewhere.
Right on. So let's talk about your upcoming fight here. You're fighting on March 23rd, Honor Fighting Championship 8, and you're fighting Josh Hill, correct? Joshua Hill.
Yep.
Almost said Hillman. Jesus Christ. Josh Hill. And was he out of Texas? Is he coming up from Texas, or is
Pretty
this,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, Austin, Texas.
And he's what, 4-2? He's coming off of a loss though. Yeah, I think he's 4-2.
Well, I've seen a couple different records. Like I think I see on a 4-2, a 4-3, and a 4-2-1. So I don't know how exactly which one is right.
Yeah, who really knows nowadays with
Yeah.
Tapology, then MMA Underground, and then Fighter Ticks.
And
they're all over the damn
There are
place.
still states that have promotions that do unsanctioned fights.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It's
Well, and I think one of his, if I'm not mistaken, I watched it. They called it a no contest in one of the, record sites that I saw. I can't recall what it was. And I don't know why it would have been a no contest. Maybe if it was an unsanctioned fight or they both came in so much overweight. I have no idea why they would have done that. But, I mean, regardless, a fight's a fight. So
yeah.
Yeah.
whether he got sanctioned fights or not, experience is experience.
Yeah. Well, he's coming off of a loss as early as, like 3 weeks ago. It was January 25th, and he lost, decision. Yeah, so how do you feel going into this fight? How do you feel about your opponent?
I mean, he's obviously a game opponent. Much respect to my opponent. Thanks for accepting the fight. I don't really have a whole bunch to say about him. He's obviously very game. He just finished a full 15-minute fight. So obviously he's in shape. He's ready to go. I watched a little bit of his video. He's down to bang. He's not scared to go for takedowns. But not trying to be rude, but I don't really. Doesn't matter to me as much what he does.
Right.
It just kind of matters as what I do. So got to go out there, just set the pace, and take the fight into my hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you're coming off of a win. I know the last time that we covered you, it was the De Jesus fight where you ended up losing a decision. It was April, so yeah, it was Summit County Fairgrounds.
Summit, yeah.
But then then that June you ended up fighting was a BJ Young, I believe, and then you defeated him. And that fight, was that the first one, like kind of like the start of like you had left Evolve by then? Where you your quarter was different, like
No.
everything was different for that fight.
No,
wasn't it?
I didn't leave yet. Some things were starting to get a little rocky at the gym, but at that time, so right when I came off, there were a lot of let's just call them issues, and I kept jumping on fights instead of reevaluating and really looking at what I needed to do. I kept jumping at these opportunities, and I thought it was awesome. So I took the De Jesus fight. I loved it. I just didn't perform well, And then right after that, I got the offer for BJ Penn. I'm sorry, BJ Penn. BJ Young.
Whoa, damn.
Yeah, right? And
Why didn't you fight him? No.
as soon as I type this guy in, all I see is Frank Edgar's Prodigy, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, awesome, this is another opportunity. And what I meant by the issues is like, at that time, the gym was kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
So whether it was fighters and or coaches, and I wasn't reevaluating what I had to do, what was best for me. I just took it.
But it takes a mental toll, right? Like when the place that you train and the people that you train with and the coach who trains you, everything starts kind of falling apart. That takes a mental toll on a fighter, especially when you're trying to prepare for a fight.
Well, and it was starting to get a little mental, but I tried not to think about it. I tried, hey, you just got to get in here, you got to train. Just take the fight. It's an opportunity. And I took it. But then after that opportunity, and, by God's grace, I went in there and didn't get hurt, ended up winning the fight. But after that opportunity, I got another opportunity. And I had to stop and just reevaluate. And then, unfortunately, throughout that time, I was reevaluating. And when I was reevaluating, that's when, the whole gym kind of collapsed. And then I had to kind of find a new home, got comfortable again, and by the time it was ready to fight, the offer that I got from a promotion out on the East Coast was a 3-fight contract that was just way too strict. They wanted, appearances out there, and I can't, on my dime, especially when the travel was so low. So
East Coast, was that King of the Cage?
Nah, and I'm not gonna put them on blast who they
okay.
were,
All
but it didn't work out.
Okay.
It would have been a absolute great matchup. The fight would have been Pat Sabatini. He's a champion of a promotion out on that side,
Right.
and he beat De Jesus. So I thought that would have been a really good fight for me. He's a good ground guy, and it would have helped open up my ground. But again, it didn't work out. So I tried to keep moving from there, and just contracts kept falling apart, or promotions would lead you on to a
Promotions
complete
do
dead
that?
end.
No.
I mean, as good in a way that those contracts did fall through. In a way, especially if you haven't established yourself in a new home, and I think that it would have worked out a lot better for you working this way, than if those contracts would have worked and you wouldn't have had to establish any strict programming and training, coaching, anything like that. So yeah, maybe it's just a blessing in disguise that those contracts did fall apart.
Well, I had to slow down.
Yeah.
I kept accepting things when I wasn't. It's almost like I didn't have my feet planted, but I kept trying to walk.
Knowing
or
that
run.
you needed to slow down, that shows that fighter maturity. There's a lot of guys right now that hell, professional fighters, guys that'll go from amateur, they'll turn pro, they'll rush it, and they'll go, I need to make money now. I need to go pro now. And they'll take a contract, some
I
bullshit
need that
contract.
$600.
Well,
now.
and that's the thing is, and it is what it is. Anybody fights for money, that's cool. I don't fight for money, because the way I look at it, a world title, you win a world title, the money will come with it, the sponsors
Right.
and all that,
Yep.
blah, 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 blah. But, I'm not fighting for the money. I'm fighting to try to
When you
affect
fight
kids.
for the money, that's typically your career's not going to last that long. You get guys that like
I just look at it differently. Like, when you fight for money, you're doing it personally. Now,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. There's always a personal aspect to it. I want to be a world champion, but I look at it in a bigger picture as, this is a platform that wasn't, that I wasn't just gifted with. I was blessed with this platform, so I might as well use it to my best ability. And I made a bunch of mistakes in my past. So if I can try to stop any kid from, following those same footsteps and getting a jump on it a little bit earlier than what I did, that's really what I'm trying to do. And again, if the money comes, the money comes, but that's a fine line. Because now if anybody hears this, oh, let's get Rohler on a card for blah, 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 blah. Now you got to know what your worth is.
Yeah.
So that is also where it gets a little blurred.
Now you said you're doing this for kids. Elaborate on that a little
I
bit.
want to introduce kids to Christ. I want to save, my calling is in Matthew, the book of Matthew, and it's to go and make disciples.
Right.
The mission at our church is to have people know Jesus, grow in their faith, and go do great things. So not only do I know Jesus, but I am growing in my faith, and I'm trying to go do great things. And what I mean by great things is I'm trying to express and spread the word of God.
Yeah.
And again, and the people, I wrestled with that for a long time about, how you going to spread the love and, be all about God when you're fighting, when you're pummeling someone. I wrestled with that, talked to my pastor about it, and I really had to, debate about that. It's a sport. And on the same token, where was Jesus, with the prostitutes? And I'm not, hating about MMA fans, but there's a lot of lost souls in the MMA world. There's a lot of people in the MMA world that when they get to those fights, they don't remember those fights because they drink so much. And, I'm not here judging anybody for drinking, but maybe that one person who's having a bad night and might be that drunk might remember that one thing that I said or that one Bible verse that I said or mention the name Jesus and comes and talks to me, and that might change his life.
Yeah, as long as you can make a difference in at least one person's life with what you're trying to do, then your job is complete.
Right.
And it's worth it. It'll be worth it. As long as you can change that one person,
So that's why it's got to be
yeah.
greater than you. So that's why I look at it, if you just chase money, that almost is just like me.
Yeah.
Unless, the motives behind that money would be, like an Ellen DeGeneres, to where I just want to give it away.
Yeah.
Now
you're trying to turn this into like a non-profit? You try to go through your church? Are you trying to bring awareness?
Well,
on
eventually,
a certain level,
Eventually, my ultimate goal would be, because again, I want to go to seminary school, whether that leads into becoming, a pastor or just knowing more about the Bible, so I
Right.
can utilize that, because I would love to have a gym.
Just education.
Yeah, and I'd love to have a gym to where kids can come in, and not just an MMA gym, wrestling gym, have everything. Foam pits, zip lines, rock walls. Remember the Fantasy Factory? Have everything. Have foam pits.
Little Ninja Warrior course
have
set up,
absolutely
right?
everything. And be able to get grants and have some sort of nonprofit to where these kids don't have to pay.
Oh, so just bring back the Discovery Zone.
Exactly.
Just bring it back.
Now, I will say this, though. I kind of want to have, like if it was up to me, I would be like, look, there's only two requirements for the kids for you to come in. But obviously, if they didn't meet these requirements, you can't throw them out on the street.
Right.
So no, it's just more so to kind of guide them. And that would be, you got to get your schoolwork done before you can have fun. And you got to just do a little bit of Bible study. You do your little bit of studying, and each book, we're good.
It's kind of like as here at Apex with the boxing, the youth boxing program that we run here. It's they come in and they have to do their work. They got to do their schoolwork.
Yep.
If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing in school,
They sit and
and
watch,
we're more
yeah.
get the kids off the streets.
Well, and
you know.
especially Akron right now. I mean, it's
Yes.
bad.
It is.
It's bad. It's only getting worse. So if we can, as many kids as we can get off the streets,
Exactly.
and again, they can't chase these goals without an education.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get the education, they can chase their goals. So as long as we keep them in school and keep them doing the right thing, they're going to stay off the streets.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
we're keeping them here, we're keeping them occupied.
Yep.
If you keep them occupied, they don't have those idle hands.
And that's one of the
Yeah,
reasons I
exactly.
started the Apex 330, which is the youth program
Mm-hmm.
here. You look around Akron and they're trying to like paint everything up, put up these new buildings, renovate, so it looks nice, but there's nothing as far as structure for youth. There isn't. They're doing midnight basketball for adults instead of shooting each other, but what about the kids? So there has to be something for them, and whether it's, hey, this is how I messed up, don't do this. If you need a place to go, come here.
Yep.
That's the start of what I'm doing here, and it's, and with a nonprofit, you apply for grants and all that, it still takes a while. So everything's out of pocket, but it's the effort that matters,
Right. Yeah, and I mean, as far as, you said Akron's trying to, beautify. I see it with my job, when I'm working in some of these back neighborhoods, you'll have a burnt up house, and then you'll have a boarded up house right next to it. Now, the boarded up house, they beautified it by painting flowers on the boards. I mean, it's getting bad, actually right down the road. If you go right down the road, head south down Arlington, past the expressway, almost right across the street from Whole Shot KTM, there's a house. They cut the whole front off and made it steel.
Really?
It is steel. The whole front of the house is steel. And I mean, obviously, right across the street, you got a couple memorials from shootings, and it's
Wow.
getting bad. Right there on, I think it's 5th Street. I think on the whole block, there might be one house that's actually, one or two houses that people, that are inhibited.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's sad is it's all kids.
Yep.
Like it's like, early 20s, late teens. That's the main culprits in shootings and robberies, and there's just I'm gonna say there's not that there's no conscience, but there's no consequence to things.
And there's no
anymore.
guidance. If they
Yeah,
had some
yeah.
sort of guidance,
Exactly, yeah.
obviously they know right and wrong, or maybe even if they don't 100% black and white know the right and wrong, if they have guidance in their life, they can learn it. You can learn and or get used to anything. So with these kids, all you got to do is just get them in a good environment. What do they say? You're the product of your closest best friends or
Yeah.
whatever it is, so the sum of your 3 to 5 best friends. So if you're hanging out with people that aren't doing so well, I was a product of that. That's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing now. And I was one of them kids hanging on the streets doing stuff that I should not have been doing. And now I'm trying to use my life like, hey, you know what? It's by God's grace that you can change your life. You may try to push yourself as far away from God that you want to, but guess what? He ain't never gonna stop loving you.
Right.
And that's like, for me, was no matter what I did in my past, which I'm not gonna get into it on
right.
this, but
Yeah.
it goes in with a lot of these kids. And I think if they either heard that example or just had some guidance from someone that they could trust, that could help go a long way.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I really, really like what you guys are doing with those kids.
And kids are more likely to trust somebody that's gone through something similar.
Yep.
That isn't like, I never did that, you should never do it, because then you don't know who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the kids here. That's how it is. They recognize it. Okay, he's not just some adult yelling at me. And it's hard sometimes, but not being just their friend. You still have to be a role model.
Yep.
And
And you still gotta, be that adult figure. You gotta tell
Yeah.
them right and wrong.
Yep.
You be their friend, but when you slip up, you gotta let them know that hey, you can't do that. There's got to be consequences. So having them in here, because I've seen your videos and someone like Moses is a great role model
Oh, yeah.
to have in here for these kids to look up to. And I mean, look, you had Nick Firth in here. That dude, geez, if you're a young kid and you anything about fighting, or you just type in some heavyweight names and you watch one of that, I mean, how cool.
right.
You look at, oh, wow, that's him.
Yeah, and with Moses, he's and the Good Shepherd Boxing Club that his dad ran
Yep.
for years in Akron, and Moses takes it over, and we're trying to build that back up as well.
Yep.
It's a non-competition boxing group. Get him in that, and then the Apex 330 start. It's a ladder, and I can see it being a great thing, especially for this area.
I mean, I look at Good Shepherd and how many people have went through Good Shepherd.
Oh yeah,
I went through when I was 14.
I've
went
been
through
there.
it,
I've
so.
been there. I know Sean and Kenny were there. Porters were there. I know a lot of people went through there, and I know it helped change a lot of kids' lives.
Oh, yeah.
But and that's the thing though, is even if you can't change them all, as long as you can change one, you can help save one.
Exactly.
And a lot of them want to go back to it if they do mess up.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's something that they can go to.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. Well, listen, what you're doing is fantastic, Josh, and we wish you the best of luck, and like truly is really great what you're doing. I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thanks for having me. You guys got me to squirrel a little bit, so shoot, I could have been talking for hours.
But make sure everybody, guys, again, they might have some tickets still left at the door, standing room, general admission for Honor Fighting
Or
Championship.
go to fightertix.com and select your favorite fighter, Josh the Rockin' Roller.
I say if there's tickets available on Fighter
Yeah.
Tix at this point, we're
It's just
selling out.
Ring of Honor now
Just
on
Ring of
Fighter
Honor
Tix.
now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
so
isn't
it's-
beer included in that? I'm not promoting beer, but any of my
I don't
buddies.
think it is.
It's illegal to have free beer, but there's discounts available for Ring of Honor.
All right, you guys
There you
hear
go.
that? All my
So
drinking
get on it.
buddies.
Chaparros Event Center located at 2418
Hey, all jokes
South
aside, though, it
Arlington
is.
Road.
It's going to be a great show. You guys
Oh, it's
got to
gonna
get
be a
there. You guys
fantastic
better
show.
get there.
It's gonna be hard to top this card.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, until next time, guys.